of English Coaching Week 2019. First of all, let's check our connection as it was yesterday. Please put a plus in our chat box if you hear and see me well. Yes, I see. Okay. Okay, thank you. I see. Everything is okay. I am Evgenia Sazonova, and I am your host today. Thank you for your participation yesterday. Yesterday was our official opening of English Coaching Week, and thank you for your active participation. It was really interesting to know your personal stories. So our guest today is Gorka Bartolome, with the topic how to become a successful cross-cultural coach. And our agenda for today is 40 minutes of presentation. After 30 minutes with the coaching session, demo session, Gorka, with one of our participants, Ekaterina Abramova. And after for 10 minutes, your questions. Please prepare your questions and use microphone and video as yesterday. Use your possibility for practicing in English. And so it's my honor to introduce our speaker today. Gorka Bartolome is a master certified coach by the ICF, and he is a mentor coach. Gorka, director of the organizational coaching master at Lleida University in Spain, and a coach trainer in several coaching schools worldwide. And what's interesting personally for me, he is also an expert in emotional intelligence and non-verbal language fields. So, Gorka,
hi.
Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. The floor is yours, Gorka.
Thank you very much, Evgenia, for your presentation. And also thank you to Dimitri for this opportunity. It's for me a great pleasure to be here with all of you today. I'm really happy. I'm really glad to be able to share my experience and my little knowledge about cross-cultural coaching. So, good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. So I think in Moscow it's 12 o'clock. So here in Spain it's 10 o'clock. So we are nearly beginning the morning. So before we begin talking about cross-cultural coaching and a little bit about the ground of this specialty, and also some steps and some ideas of how to become, or I don't know if there is something as becoming a cross-cultural coach, but maybe how to work in this field. But I would like to make sure that everybody is getting a good quality sound, that you are listening to me in a proper way. So if you can confirm again, please, in the... Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So first of all, let's talk about what's cross-cultural coaching, because sometimes we may mistake this concept with coaching, with English-speaking coaching. So just doing coaching or having coaching sessions with other coaches or with other clients that they're not speakers from our own language, and we just have sessions in English language. But actually, I think it's a broader spectrum than not only English-speaking sessions with other countries. For instance, Maybe this is something that is particular with Spanish, because, for instance, here in Spain, of course, we speak Spanish, but there are many, many, many countries in South America and even in Middle America that they also speak Spanish. But here is the thing. The culture is not the same, okay? We speak the same language, which is Spanish, but it's a slightly different Spanish, but this is not the only difference, because we also have different cultural traits, we think in other ways, so we see life also in quite a different way. So this could also be called cross-cultural coaching, okay? Maybe in Russia, you will have the same opportunity. Maybe Russia is a huge country, so I'm sure that there are different cultural approaches, you know, maybe the parts of Russia which are closer to China, maybe the parts that are closer to Europe. So they have different also ways of thinking, different ways of approaching life. So this could also be called cross-cultural coaching. Okay, so actually when we are talking about coaching in a cross-cultural way, it's about coaching people that think in a different way, that see life in a different way, because they are living in countries that may speak the same language, but they don't have the same traditions, they don't have the same ways to approach life, they don't have the same way to think about how they think, or even the way that our brain is structured, okay? Because you also may know that our brain structure depends on our education and also the studies we have developed, and also how we have learned along our life. So it's very, 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 very different. So this is the first idea I would like to start here. That is that we can also have cross-cultural coaching with people that speak our same language. Okay, so this is the first thing. The idea here is culture. When we are talking about culture, we are talking about traits, personality traits, traditions, ways of thinking. So this is what we have to take in account. Why do I love cross-cultural coaching? And here is something that, I must thank you, Dimitri, because we met last year and he had this proposal to begin this project and he asked me to participate. And actually, it's something that I was doing, but I didn't put this name to this discipline. I was not thinking that, well, I'm a cross-cultural coach, But how did I get to that point? How did I get to be able to coach people from different countries, from different cultures, from different languages that are not Spanish? So we have to go back, okay? So we have to like a flashback to my early ages when I was a teenager. So my former training is a musician. I'm a pianist and I'm a pedagogist in the musical field. So I remember that when I was young, when I was 14, 15, in the summer, I used to go to summer camps for musicians. So we went to different places, sometimes in Spain, sometimes in other places from Europe. And there we met people from all over the world. So I met people from different countries, from Europe, from the United States, from the Middle East, from South America. So, and of course, by that moment, I wasn't working in coaching at all. I didn't know even that coaching existed. So, but anyway, I got used to speak with people from different countries, from different, thinking ways, from different ideas to approach. And that really caught me. It was like, wow, I love that. I love, meeting people from other places. And by that time, my English was not so good. It's not that my English is good now, okay? But that time was not so good. But anyway, we managed to communicate. We managed to share ideas with music, without music. So by that time, I began to get interested in this idea of communicating with people and also learning from people from other places. So later on, when I was I finished my university studies here in Spain, and I moved to Israel for 3 years. And that was a cultural shock to me. It was like, a completely different way of thinking, living, and behaving. So I spent 3 years there in Israel, also in my post-degree in the university. And there, again, it was for me, in the beginning, it was shocking because it was a different culture. You know, Israeli people, they're lovely, but in the beginning, they're a little bit tough. They're kind of, a strong personality, so you have to get used to them. So again, there I had to learn, and little by little, I found the beauty of, knowing people from a different country, different culture, different traditions. And also, again, in the university, I had the opportunity to meet people from all over the world, again, from America, from Japan. So again, little by little, it's like a drug. You get used to know people, and you get used to ask questions, and you get used to to want to learn and to know more about people from other countries, from other cultures, traditions, ideas, and that was such an enriching situation and experience that it marked me for my life. So after those 3 years, I came back to Spain, and well, what happened? Suddenly I had to move city. Okay, so I'm from the Basque Country. Basque Country is in the north of Spain, and I had to move to Catalonia, where I'm living now, to Barcelona. Okay, so that was also, again, a cultural change for me, because even though we are living in the same country, as you may know, big countries, they have different regions, and different regions, they have different also cultures and even languages, because here we also speak a different language. We speak Spanish, but we also speak Catalan. So we also have a different way to approach things. So again, I had to make a cultural adjustment. I had to get used to this new approach. So, now I realize that little by little, since I was a teenager, I've been, getting used to different ways of thinking. I have had to adapt to different circumstances, to different cultures, to different languages. And, that's why I was talking about a drug. Because suddenly you realize that you cannot exist without sharing or without being with people from other countries, from other cultures. You need that contact. You need this, to be feeding yourself with these different ideas and different approaches. And when I became a coach, and that was like maybe 12, 13 years ago, well, I also, of course, began to work with people from here, from Catalonia, which is where I was living by that time. But suddenly, I felt the need, the urge to begin to work with other people. So suddenly, I found myself and I'm talking about my beginnings as a coach. I find myself trying to, look for clients, for coaches from other countries, and trying to, having coaching sessions with them. And, since then, and especially when I was also working towards my MCC, because I didn't want to, to take my MCC assessment in Spanish. I wanted to take it in English. So again, there I had to, look for clients from English-speaking countries. So I found some coaches from North America, Canada, and that was also a great experience. And since then, I've been working, on a daily basis with clients from all over the world. I have clients in North America. I have clients in Canada. I have clients in Mexico. I have clients in also Venezuela, and also in almost all over Europe, Russia, of course, and also Germany and France, of course, in Spain. I have also clients in Israel. So it's like I'm used to work with clients from everywhere. So, of course, also, and this is one of the things that I will talk now about, the personal traits or even the professional traits of a cross-cultural coach. One of the things that you need is, you must be a language lover. You must be someone who is willing to learn as many languages as possible. Of course, nowadays English is the universal language. So anyone who is in the corporate environment or in professional environment, you must know English. You have to be able to at least have some basic knowledge so you can speak at least in a basic way. But the more languages you speak, so the more you will be able to communicate with with other cultures. So nowadays I speak 4 languages, of course, Spanish and Catalan, which I learned when I came here. Here, everybody speaks Catalan, but also they speak Spanish. But mainly the language communication it's Catalan. I also speak Hebrew, which I learned when I was there for 3 years, and also a little bit of English. So this is, I think, one of the first things a cross-cultural coach should be willing to do. Just willing to spend some time, some time a week. I would say sometimes spend some time weekly daily to speak English, okay, or to work on your English, or maybe in other languages you want to learn. Maybe you already know English and you want to learn Spanish, or maybe you want to learn Chinese, which is supposed to be the language of the future. So this is something that it's really, really, really important. And especially, you can learn a lot of grammar, and you can, make a lot of English exercises, and you can work a lot on your, reading knowledge. But it's important that you also get to, a lot of listening and also a lot of speaking. Okay. So, for instance, something I try to do every day is just now. This is something great about the new internet platforms. So we have Netflix, we have HBO. So we get the opportunity to listen to the to the docs, to the films in the original version. So it's something that I try to do every day. Just maybe half an hour or 1 hour at night before I go to sleep. Just try to watch a movie or some kind of documentary. So I get used to different accents, different ways of English, maybe some British English, some American English. So you get used to different accents. So, and then you will be able to understand better. And also try to find, the moment to practice English weekly. Also try to speak. Try to find someone who knows more English than you know. So you can talk and you can, have some correction. So this is one of the basic ingredients to be a successful cross-cultural coach. Because of course, when we're working with coaching, we're working mainly with language. Okay, so we're working also with paraverbal language and nonverbal language. But the main channel to communicate with our client is language. So it's important that if you intend to become a cross-cultural coach, or you're already a cross-cultural coach, you should be able to, understand as much as possible to your client, and even the nuances and sometimes the difficult words. So this is something that it's really, really, really important, and we should devote a few hours a week to improve, to brush, and to learn more and more language. Okay, more languages. Okay, so this is one of the first ideas, or the first traits of a cross-cultural coach. Okay, so the second one, and this is maybe the most challenging, and it's we have to be really open-minded. Okay, and this is, I think this is not only a trait, or a skill for a cross-cultural coach, but for any coach. We have to be open-minded. What do I mean by open-minded? So willing to learn, willing to see things, willing to, get even information in a different way that we are used to. Because, as I said before, when we are talking with people from other countries, they have different ways of thinking. So, for instance, and this is something I told, I think, that last year, I love working with North American clients because they are so straightforward in their thinking. Their thinking is so logical. It's so easy to work with North American coaches. And this is something that I asked to a student I had last year, and she was from the States. And she said that she agreed with that. and that she had sometimes some difficult problems with Spanish clients to work, because here our thinking is more complicated. So we are, we're used to think too much. And she said that in the States, that the education they get when they go to school is really, logical, in a really rational way. So that helps them to think in a more straightforward way. So this is something that I found. And for instance, when you work with Mexican clients, if we here in Spain, we are complicated. There in Mexico, it's even crazier. They like to talk a lot. They like to explain everything with every detail. So you have to be very patient. You have to be also very comprehensive with them. And you have to be, ready for very emotional explanations. So for that, you have to be really open-minded, because otherwise you will begin to judge. You will begin to say, okay, so this is talking too much, or maybe there is no emotion here. So you have to be ready for anything you will find with your client. So you have to be really open-minded, willing to see things in different ways, and be willing to forget about how you see the world, how you are used to think. And this is one of the things that for me is the most important thing from being a cross-cultural coach. And it's how much you learn from other people. Actually, being a cross-cultural coach is so enriching. You are so rich, and I'm not talking in a monetary way. I'm talking, in a knowledge way, because it makes you more open-minded. It makes you also a more non-judgmental person. So this is something you also bring to your life afterwards. It doesn't stay only in the coaching profession, but then you are able to be more empathetic with people in your in your social life. You are more understandable with other persons. So this is for me the best part of cross-cultural coaching. Okay. But also, as a cross-cultural coach, you have to be really confident, okay? I could say even not only confident, but bold and also brave. Because especially when you're not really proficient in a language, so the beginnings are difficult. So I remember I'm talking maybe about 10 years ago when I began to coach in English. So my English level and also the understanding level was not so good as it is now. And it was a real challenge also to understand the clients, but also, to make myself understand, to, craft good questions, to be able to sometimes mirror back what I was saying, what the client was saying. So we have to be bold, because if you are too afraid, also you will show this to the client. You will show the client that you are not sure, that you are doubting. And this is not a good thing to show to your client. So you have to be confident, or at least, if you're shaking, if you're not so sure, you cannot show that to the person that is in front of you, if it's on the Zoom or on Skype or on the phone. So this is also one of the things. How do you gain confidence? How do you become a bold or even brave coach? So again, it's practicing. It's learning the language, and it's also about daring. Okay, if you don't dare, if you don't try, and if you don't make mistake in the beginning, so you won't get anywhere. So you have to be willing in the beginning, maybe not to look so good, maybe to make some mistakes in English or in the language you are trying, and little by little you will be learning, you will be getting more experience. But this is the only way. So if you don't dare, if you don't try, you're not going to get any results about it. Okay. And also, one important thing also that we need to develop as cross-cultural coaches is to be curious, okay? So coaches, we should be curious, okay, about people, about things. So that's what crafts good questions. When we will have curiosity about something that the client said, and we want to learn more, and we want the client to teach us about that thing. But as a cross-cultural coach, we even have to be more curious than we are in our coaching sessions with our usual clients, because curiosity is what is going to help us also to understand better other ideas, other ways of thinking, other ways of see life. So let's say that the main ideas or the main structures to develop a cross-cultural coaching, life is work on your language learning. If it's English, if it's Spanish, if it's Chinese, it doesn't matter which language you're learning. Then also be open-minded, not non-judgmental, not trying to see things the way you're used to do it, but be bold, be brave to open your mind to new ways and new ways to do things. And also be confident, be bold, be brave, try, don't be afraid of making mistakes, and also be curious. Also don't be afraid of asking questions to the clients about something that you don't understand, or maybe that, okay, so what does it mean, that word? For instance, when I'm coaching with clients from Mexico or from South America, so some words are different, they have different meanings, so you have to ask, you have to be curious, you cannot just remain with this doubt in your mind, so you have to be willing to ask and to be really, really curious. What's difficult about being a cross-cultural coaching? Because it's everything, I mean, it's great, it's fantastic, it's amazing, and you get really, really, really awesome learnings, but there are also some difficulties that we have to be able to overcome. And again, the first one is language, but as we said before, just practicing, learning, listening to movies, listening to English programs or any other languages that you're learning, it's basic for that, okay? The other difficulty is, again, mindset differences, okay? So in this way, we need to also, sometimes we need to work on ourselves as coaches, because many times we are too worried about the competencies, about being a good coach, trying to attach yourself to the ICF competencies or to, the competencies that you've been taught to give good coaching, but we forget about our inner coach. So that it means that I'm a really open-minded person. I'm someone that is willing to accept any idea. I'm someone that feels comfortable with any situation. I'm comfortable with any topic that the client is bringing to the session. So if not, this is something that I have to work also on myself. Maybe I will have to follow a coaching process with a colleague so I can work with these ideas, okay? I know many coaches, and some of them I know here from Spain that they are trying to, to get to their MCC credential. And sometimes they are not getting there because they are still a little bit close-minded. They are not willing to let go of their way of thinking and of the way of seeing life. So work on that. If you feel that you have some difficulties to understand or to, be able to adapt to your client, this presence, this idea of, just be with them. So work on that, not as a competence, but as something you have to change in yourself, okay? Sometimes, and this is a half joke difficulty, world time is a big issue when you're just doing cross-cultural coaching. For instance, sometimes I have had to, coach at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, because the client didn't have any other slot in their schedule to be able to have the session. So this is something you have to get used sometimes, just to be able to be, to adapt yourself to different time frames, and also be willing not to sleep sometimes, but it's worth it. I mean, all you get and all the experience and all the knowledge you get from your clients from all over the world is really worth not sleeping, or really worth waiting till late night so you can have these sessions. But also it's important. Another difficulty is the need for more presence and active listening. Okay, because when we are coaching in our mother tongue, so that's kind of easy, okay? Coaching is never easy, but anyway, when we understand things in an easy way, it's easy to, to understand, and we we need the normal level of presence and also active listening. But when we are coaching someone in a different language, or maybe in the same language but in a different accent or in a different cultural environment, then our presence must be 200% and our active listening must be, again, 300%. And if we are not sure, we have to ask again. So we have to ask the client to repeat. So we don't take anything, in account, or we don't interpret anything that the client is saying. So here it's important also as a cross-cultural coach to ask for clarification and sometimes to mirror back frequently, okay? So get used not only to ask questions, but also to mirror back, to make some resumes. So, okay, so what I understood is this, or what you said is this, and this. So we make sure that we got the real idea from the client, okay? And, well, actually, that's it you need. I mean, that's all. It's not that much that you need to be a cross-cultural coach, okay, and a successful cross-cultural coach is not that much. I mean, first of all, the first thing is you have to be comfortable with your competencies as a coach, okay, because if you are still somehow insecure with your coaching competencies, then this is going to be an added difficulty if you have to coach in a different language. So first of all, I would recommend you to, before you go to this step, if you are considering becoming a cross-cultural coach, first of all, make sure that your core competencies are well-rounded, you feel really secure with them, and you don't have any problems, okay? So it doesn't mean that if you're an ACC, you cannot be a cross-cultural coach, of course not, but just make sure that you are really, you feel really secure with these competencies, okay? So this is really important. And then just what I said, so work on your language, which is not your mother tongue, learn as much as you can, and also be ready to open your mind, be ready to learn, and also be ready to get really rich, okay? But rich not, as I said, in a monetary way, rich in a knowledge way, rich in, see life from places that you've never thought that, you could see. And this is going to make you a really experienced, rich, and also understandable and empathetic person. So before we begin with the coaching demonstration, we can have a few questions about what I've just said. Dimitri?
Yeah, Gorka, dear Gorka, so many thanks to you again for being with us. And every time you accept my proposal to be in our events for coaches when we talk about cross-cultural coaching. So I think we together now creating the art and science of cross-cultural coaching, and it's your contribution and our contribution to coaching across cultures. Many thanks for that, first of all. And I loved, of course, your ideas, recommendations, especially you should be a language lover, of course. If we don't love English, we can't use English in our coaching. We can't do coaching in English. Okay, so thank you for your many recommendations and advice how to become a successful cross-culture coach. And I would like to ask maybe the first question for you, and it can be a challenge a little bit. I like some challenging questions. So if you give a short definition, a cross-culture coach is, how would you continue this one phrase? Thank you.
Okay. So a cross-cultural coaching coach is someone who, it's coaching, clients with different mindsets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wouldn't talk about language. Of course, language is important, but I think the mindset is even more important.
Mindset is even more important. Keyword here is mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So, Evgenia, so we need your help with the questions.
I think that colleagues also have a lot of questions, just they are preparing them. Yes, I have a question. Gorka, tell me please, what resources or channels did you use or use right now for finding clients, cross-cultural clients? I think maybe most interesting your previous experience, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How it was in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so, well, the main way to find cross-cultural clients is just giving your time, okay? So just offering some, free workshops or free conferences about coaching, on online. So you can invite people to know what coaching is, and also to, make them understand that you can have coaching with someone that is not in your own country. And then afterwards, when you have a few clients, they recommend you. So it's like, okay, so you're giving your time, you're just giving away your time for people, but then that comes back in your work. Okay, so this is the main way to to get more clients, just by offering some information sessions, some small workshops, like 1 hour demonstration workshop, so people get to see, and then you can advise that you get advertised on Facebook. And so the thing is that nowadays we have so many possibilities with technologies that the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. So that my main recommendation is use the technologies and online technologies as much as possible.
Thank you for answer. Maybe you can recommend some internet resource what is really useful.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, for me is really useful, of course. I mean, this is not just rocket science rocket. I mean, Facebook, it's a really useful resource, because you can post there articles, you can post even some events, you can even broadcast live, so people will see what you're doing. And for me, Facebook and also LinkedIn is the main source for clients and to advertising. So, and then you also can use different platforms like Zoom, like Skype. Now you even have FaceTime, and so it's like now everybody, I think, has all the technology available to be able to contact and also to work with clients.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So I thought how much useful is the Facebook. So thank you for your experience. And we have a question from Andrei Yakunin. Yes? Andrei Yakunin. Okay. I see that we have a sound. Mm-hmm. So, dear participants, do you have any questions to Gorka?
I have a question. I have a question.
Yeah.
Hello, Gorka. Thank you very much for your presentation. That was very interesting. I would like to ask you about your further professional development. I know that you're at MCC level, you have an MCC credential.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion of the further professional development in coaching? Do you think that you need to stop here now and think, oh, that's enough for me? I mean, I don't need to develop professionally further, or you think or you have another opinion and you have some sources for your further development. If you do, could you please share what is the possible education after you already have an MCC level?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, training and education is basic, even if you got to the highest level. I mean, I am an MCC, but I still have a long way to go and to learn and to improve. So MCC doesn't mean perfection, okay? So first of all, so here it depends on your interest. For instance, now I'm developing my PhD. Now I'm working in my PhD, and the focus is on coaching and neuroscience. So I'm trying to demonstrate the difference between non-directive and directive coaching through electroencephalogram technique. So this is something that for me is really interesting, because I think that coaching is really connected to how we think and what's going on in our brain, the changes that we are having in our brain. So this for me is the field that I really feel that it's going to be, you know, needed in a few years. So that's the reason why I'm working on my PhD in this direction. Previously, I work on, I have a master's degree in sociology, because I think that also it's important how we relate, how we think as, you know, as human beings, and that's what it got me interested. But I also learned, you know, about emotional intelligence, and also I got further into nonverbal language. And so anything that you think that can add to your coaching career, it's going to be good. It's going to be something that is going to add to your coaching. Okay, so this is something that for me it's basic. And so you have to keep learning, and you have to keep, you know, studying, and you have to keep even being mentor. You know, when you're an MCC, I also look for my colleagues' advice. You know, sometimes I deliver them my sessions, so they can tell me, okay, this was good, but try to. So just keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. It's like music. For me, coaching is like music. You will never be perfect, so you will have to be always learning, practicing, and, you know, studying.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, do you have any questions more? So, Gorka, do you have a continuation of your presentation, or we can start the demo session?
Yeah, we can start with the demonstration.
Okay. So, dear colleagues, now Gorka is going to conduct a coaching session with Ekaterina Abramova. Thank you very much, Gorka, for your charismatic presentation and energetic. Very interesting to hear you. And please switch off their microphones, dear participants, and for 30 minutes we will keep silence. And Gorka, I can look for the time when we'll finish 30 minutes, yeah? Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. So let's...
So, Ekaterina, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a funny thing, you know, I've been watching some of your demo sessions on the internet lately, and today I'm being coached by you. Isn't that incredible? That's an interesting thing. The world is so, you know, so it has no boundaries nowadays. You can do whatever you want, and I'm very honored to be a client today. I'm looking forward to our presentation, or to our session.
Oh, thank you, Katerina. Actually, it's my pleasure. I'm really honored also to be able to work with you today. Thank you also for, you know, offering you, and really thank you also for being bold and be here with all of us.
Yes, I find it a bit intimidating to be coached in front of so many people, but I've realized that it's definitely worth it, especially with the coach of MCC level, and especially with you. I've seen a lot of your demo sessions, and I really like them. So I think I'm ready to begin.
All right, Ekaterina. So you said a little bit intimidating. What do you need from me here to be able to be at your best in this session?
You know, while we were talking, this pressure has gone somewhere. So I'm okay now. I just needed a couple of minutes to be focused on you, on us, and on the subject I'm going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. That's fine. I feel good now.
All right. So tell me, Katerina, what would you like to talk about in today's session?
You know, I've been thinking about a few requests, and I decided that I will go with this one because it's a bit deeper than the ones I've been considering. And I think I've come across this request with other people while working as a coach. I have a little bit of experience in that field as well. And the reason why I would like to talk about this subject, I'm going to say what it is, is is that I personally need the deeper understanding and any ideas of what can be done with it. I'm talking about the feeling of dissatisfaction, which sometimes comes along no matter what you do, and no matter how much you do. Actually, what I mean is that every day I'm dealing with a lot of processes. I have a lot of projects going on in my life, from the professional point of view, from my personal point of view. So there are different directions in my life which I find very important, and I do consider that they actually trigger the happiness in my life as well. But at the same time, doing all that, having all these processes in my life, sometimes I get this feeling of dissatisfaction that I haven't done it to the fullest. So this feeling comes along, and then it turns into something similar to frustration or something like that, because you realize that you haven't done it to the fullest, haven't done it to the level that you set for yourself, this level of the high standard, what I call the high standards, my internal one. And having this chain of feelings like dissatisfaction, frustration, and probably something else, you end up with being, what's the word? You lack the satisfaction that you could have had if you looked at these things from a different perspective. So I would like to understand, is that possible to fight this feeling? Because I'm ready to fight it. And I think it should be fought, but I'm not sure if I'm capable of that. So if we had this conversation today about this thing, I would probably get more insights on how I can deal with that.
Okay, so what I heard, Katerina, you talk about the need for deeper understanding, what can be done about this feeling of dissatisfaction.
Absolutely true.
Okay, so you also said that no matter what you do or how much you do, and in every directions that are important in your life, so you have this feeling of dissatisfaction, and even you said frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And you also related that to high standards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what you said, the last thing you said is that, well, maybe you would like to talk or to have a conversation about, understand if it's that possible to fight this feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yes, correct. Everything is correct.
So, Katerina, which is the result you would like to have by the end of these 30 minutes?
Ideally, like it would be my personal approach to doing the things. They should be done in an ideal way. So ideally, I would like to understand that I'm capable of doing that at the end of the session. But there are two ways. You're either capable or you are not. So, but I would like to get this understanding. And the understanding, I think, my body will tell me if I get it. So the energy level will tell me if I get it. And the feeling of calmness, probably. Like in many other requests that I do as a client, I sense it on a physical level, first of all. And then it stays there for a while, and then it gets to my mind. So today I'm just looking for this physical sense of feeling that I'm capable of fighting it. Something like that.
Okay. So feeling that you are capable fighting it.
Yeah. Fighting or dealing, both ways are acceptable. It doesn't have to be a war,
So fighting or dealing.
Yeah, and maybe I should mention that this feeling, it's not painful for me, you know, from I forgot the word what I wanted to say, but I just want to emphasize that it's not painful. I don't suffer much from that, but I know that if I could get rid of that feeling, I would be I would probably be even more relaxed and happy at the end of everything I accomplish in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably the thing that I lack the most, that feeling of successful accomplishment, because I have many achievements, but maybe I don't celebrate them much. I don't praise myself for that. And maybe I don't value them much. That's why that triggers that feeling of dissatisfaction and the things that I've described.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you said that when you get that feeling that it's possible to deal with dissatisfaction, you said that you will be more relaxed and happy with everything you accomplish.
Yes.
You mm-hmm. said successful accomplishment.
Sounds great. Mm-hmm.
And you also said that I don't value.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell me, Katerina, to be able to go on with this idea, how would you like to approach?
How would like to approach this? Yeah. You know, I wouldn't probably go into the past or into the roots of this problem, because I don't think it will make me any good today. I would rather look at the optimistic side of how this could be, of how the processes or projects or whatever I do could be done if I don't experience this feeling of dissatisfaction anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I would look at the brighter side of this topic, if possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we like to approach it in a way. So how project will be if you don't experience this feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the bright side.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is it a good approach? What do you think?
No, you tell me.
I feel, my body says yes. I feel it's good enough, yes.
Okay, where does your body tell yes?
Somewhere here, somewhere in my chest. It's warm in here now. It's like, and it tells me, yeah, go ahead, try to experiment, try to analyze it from this point of view, and then maybe you get something out of there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you like to approach this idea from the bright side?
Maybe imagine something, imagine the situation when there's no feeling of dissatisfaction anymore. Mm-hmm. Or for example, I accomplished something, I'm fully satisfied because I haven't missed anything. Even during this working on the project, I have this feeling that I've done everything that could be done possibly, and I come to the result. I can put the tick that it's done. And actually, I can enjoy it for a while. That would be the perfect ideal situation for me. You know what? It's like two levels of thinking. At the highest level of thinking, I understand that I'm a happy person, that I have everything I need. I don't know, that my life is full of different, very interesting things, and it gives me joy and happiness. But at the lower level thinking, it's just my interpretation. The lower level of thinking, when you get to these processes on the daily routine, like from doing the household duties, for example, the process of household duties, to finding the kindergarten for your child, or to, I don't know, getting ready for some presentation for your job, something like that. All of these processes, they have the drawbacks. Every time you cannot be perfect. There are always something that you are worried about, or you are dissatisfied, or you would like it to be better, whatever. And you know what I've just realized while talking about all these processes? It creates not a mess, but it creates, there's a great word for it, fuss, if you understand what I mean, fuss, or hectic, very hectic atmosphere, which doesn't leave you in a calm state. You become nervous just because you've created it yourself. You've created this fuss yourself. What's the point then? I ask myself, what's the point of creating this? Maybe it's the pattern of your thinking. Maybe just you're used to it. Maybe you've been worried about something in your childhood, and that's why it is with you still now. The reasons can be very different, but what I'm trying to get out of this conversation right now is to understand whether it's capable, whether it's possible to somehow exclude it, to exclude this mess out of my life, just to leave these things and processes and projects and whatever it is, without this extra fuss. Yes, this extra. There can be some, because you can't go without it. But without extra, definitely, it should be without extra fuss. Do you understand what I mean?
Let me see if I understood. Okay. So first, you said that you'd like to approach all this from the bright side. Okay. And you say, feeling satisfied because I have done everything that could be possibly done, okay? Also, you say, just putting this tick that is done. And then you said there are two levels, okay? High level of thinking, in which you are a happy person, you have everything in your life, okay? And then there is a low level of thinking, which complies all the daily duties and has some drawbacks. And you also said about hectic, about fast, okay, atmosphere. And now you said that, okay, what you would like is just with some extra, but not that much fast.
Yeah, the extra one that gives you that feeling of tension a little bit, because it's I think it launches the process of adrenaline in your body, but it should be to the point where it doesn't get too critical. So this is actually what I'm looking for. I've just realized this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this boundary when it is still okay, and then it's already too much for me, and that creates mess and fuss. Wow. Interesting, very interesting.
Now you said boundary.
Boundary. Why did I say boundary? because you know why I said boundary? Because I imagined a line in my mind. It's like a line, and it's like I shouldn't cross that line. In the sense that if I stop near that line, I don't get further, and I don't get too messy. I don't get hectic. If I cross that, then that's all. There is a mess. There is dissatisfaction. Everything I've described before. So I have to feel. I have to actually feel somehow. I need to have an intuition whether this line is. I'm not sure whether I have that or not right now. Interesting question. I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember any cases that could give me a hint that I have that. It doesn't come to my mind right away.
Mm-hmm. So, Ekaterina, how is this line, okay, that you should not cross to get too messy? How is it related to this bright side, and how is it related to that feeling you want to deal with? It is certainly related to the bright side, because while talking about the bright side, I've come to this line. And it's definitely related to this feeling of dissatisfaction, because this line shows me where I should stop before I get dissatisfied. Mm-hmm. So actually there is the sequence of observations I've just mentioned has somehow tied all these three things together. So they are all connected to each other in the feeling that I've described. Okay. So the line is related to this bright side because it comes from this bright side. Mm-hmm. You said that it's related to these feelings because this line shows you where to stop before you get dissatisfied. Yes, and this extra fast actually is also here. Line, extra fast, dissatisfaction, and the bright side. I would put these extra fast because that was aha moment for me. Mm-hmm. I would like to remember that at the end of the session. So I'm saying that now just in order to remember that. It's an important thing. What is the important thing? This extra fast. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Because I thought previously that I was talking about fast in general, this hectic atmosphere in general. But no, I'm not. Frankly speaking, I'm not that kind of person. I would need some drive in my life. Otherwise, it would be very boring. Yes, and here came that extra fast I would like to remember now. So in this moment of the session, Ekaterina, regarding this feeling you want by the end of the session, what do you have right now? First of all, I have this feeling of calmness, which is already somewhere down because it has come through my body and I'm fully calm. And I'm so happy that I've got to these two things, the line and the extra fast. I think they are the basics of what I need to start with thinking about this in the future. When I leave the session, I will have these two things I will operate with, if I may say so, and build something above. Build, I mean, some scheme or algorithm or whatever it is, in order not to forget it, first of all, to remember it all the time when I'm dealing with processes or actions, whatever. And then I'm sure now, I don't know, you gave me this feeling of certainty that that I'm capable not to fight,
not to deal with, but to build on something on it, you know, something to build on something positive, looking at this issue, because it is an issue, from the bright side.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I sound complicated. Maybe I do, and I understand that because it's the internal processes going on in my mind, and there could be a lot of complex things. But I think it's important that I personally understand it, and I do.
What else would you need to get to that feeling? I know what else. I need to break the habit, because in some sense, I think it's a habit of thinking like that. It's not maybe saying that it's a mindset would be too global. I think it's just the way I'm used to do it, which turned into the habit. And breaking the habit, it's another moment, and I have to consider that while building on my structure when I'm out on the session. But it's also a technical process, I think, because it takes some time to break the habit. Widely known that it's gonna take for about from 21 to 40 days, but you have to be very conscious of the fact that you are actually working on breaking this habit. And here's the question. How should I stay conscious of that? Mm-hmm. There should be something that will remind me of our session. Maybe I should put a picture of you on the wall. Something like that, because it should remind me that we've talked about it. Yeah, and there are certain things that I've already discovered, and they should also be included into my daily life. That's what I understand. I just can't say immediately right now what needs to be done in order for me to see them on the regular basis every day, you know. But there should be the reminder of that I've come through that, and I've got these things. And the habit actually, I'm confident I can break this habit. It's just a matter of time and involvement. And involvement comes after you've prepared everything for dealing with this, you know. Reminder would be super good for me. I will think about what can be the reminder then. Okay. So towards this feeling that you are able to deal with the dissatisfaction, you said this line, mm-hmm. extra fast, and you also said breaking the habit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you would need to get to that feeling completely?
Mm-hmm. Line extra fast, breaking the habit.
And a reminder, of course.
Reminder, yes, reminder. 4 pillars. I've got 4 pillars I'm going to build on.
So what are you going to do with those pillars?
I'm going to have a project on how to deal with the dissatisfaction. And the project will include my insights from the session, the reminder. It's going to remind me every day on what I have to remember about this session, and And I'm going to experiment, because these processes, they are never ending. So you can take any of them. Okay. This time I think it should be a valuable one. A valuable one which would give you an opportunity to test it to the fullest. And I'm going to apply everything I've discovered today to this valuable process and see what's going to happen in the end, what kind of result I get, how I'm going to treat any mistakes that I will do during this process, what kind of feeling probably I will get again while working on this process, and whether I would want to celebrate it at the end or not. It's like a few milestones that would show me how it goes, and I'm just trying to understand what will be the trigger that would give me the focus along the way, because the projects, especially the valuable ones, they last. They could be lengthy, and I want to have the focus. But I think in my case, the focus can be associated with the reminder, and it just has to be a very strong one. Yes, and all together, I see this picture in my head right now. All together, while working on something, I will get to a certain result and see what's at the end. I assume that there can be problems while working on that. And maybe this mindset, the habit I had, would be stronger for a while. And then I will try again. Till I get the result, like I always do. But it's very important not to get to the perfection again, you know? Not to be perfect, not to be ideal, be myself. Just myself working with the habit and building on these 4 pillars. I think it's a great story.
So, Katerina, what you're going to do is it's called Project How to Deal with. Okay, you said, first of all, to remind about the insights of the session, also to build this reminder. You also say to experiment on a viable one. And then you also talk about the result, okay, how to treat the mistakes, celebrate or not celebrate. And you also said that it's important, a trigger that is going to help you to focus. And then said that maybe the reminder could help you in this way. And in the end, you also said not to be perfect.
I don't want to be perfect anymore. Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while. I've had a few requests while dealing with this topic, and I read a lot of things about that, psychological things that would help me to deal with it. But I know that many people are trying to fight this, you know, feeling of necessity to be perfect. And I think I'm on the right track. I don't want to be perfect anymore. I just want to be myself, and I want to deal with the problems not from the perfect point of view, but from the point of view that could give me a lot of freedom, relaxation, fuss to the extent that I want to have it in my life. So I want to control it. Yeah, that control. And just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. That would be enough for me.
When are you going to begin with this project?
When? When? You know, I got so inspired by our conversation that I want to start immediately. But I need to give it a couple of thoughts. I need to think about what kind of project it will be. And I need to prepare these things. And if I want to have some pictures on the wall or something like that, remind us. But during this week.
During this week.
During this week, yeah. I will start during this week.
Okay. So, Ekaterina, do you have this feeling that you wanted in the beginning that you are capable of dealing with this feeling of dissatisfaction?
You know, this feeling has now exceeded my expectations. So it's even more than I've expected. I'm not only feel that I'm capable of, I'm energized and looking forward to starting doing something in this field, dealing with this topic.
Okay.
It's even more than I could ever expect it. So thank you so much for that.
No, thank you. Thank you. Is there anything you would like to have told that we didn't in the session?
I think I'm fully set. I think that's all that I could expect from the session. And just like I said, the session itself has exceeded my expectations, not just the result. And I leave the session being first of all in the great mood, in the great energy. That is a very important topic for me nowadays as well. And looking forward, like I said, looking forward to doing something with it. Thank you so much, Gorka. It was very lovely to talk to you today.
Thank you. It was really, really, really an honor, and I really enjoyed very much. It was also lovely for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gorka and Ekaterina, for so wonderful session. I didn't want to interrupt you. Unfortunately, our time has finished for session 5 minutes ago. Now we have a time for questions, a couple of questions. Dear colleagues, if you prepared your questions, so now it's time to ask them. Please. And use microphone and video. Let's make our meeting as interactive as possible. I see that our colleagues write to Katerina, Gorka, thank you both very much. It was very useful. Okay, we have a question, Inna.
Yes, hi all friends, hi Gorka. I just can't to make my video because of organizer. It's right me in program. So I want to ask Gorka, how can you say what are the components of your success in professional coach?
Well, thank you, Ina, for the question. Well, actually, when we talk about success, first of all, we should, define what are we talking about. But when I talk about success as a coach, for me, it's like being able to work on that. That's enough. Okay? So for me, it's very important, as I said before, keep learning. And I go through the coaching competencies every week, again and again, and I teach them, but I revisit every single week the competencies, and I try to go farther, and I try to understand them in a better and different way. So this is one of the things. And then also, as I said before, get mentored, seek for some mentoring of other colleagues. So you don't get comfortable, you don't, as I said, to the dark side. You don't go to the dark side, but you keep improving and you keep just getting better and better as a coach. For me, that's what I try to do every time. So then it becomes, and it's something that is going to benefit the clients.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gorka, for answer. And we have a question from Oleg Stepanov. Yes, Oleg? Oleg Stepanov, did you want to ask the question? Or it seems
Yes. Hi, friends. Hello, Gorka. It was a very interesting session, and I want to ask. How do you understand when your client or your partner is some, I don't know how to say, the breaking point, where you can ask some strong questions? I felt that in your session about how to maybe to catch this point and to give right way questions in that time. If you understand me, if I said correctly and expressed my how to say what I wanted to express.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what I understood, Oleg, is how do we know when the client is in a breaking point in the session, and how to craft like strong questions at that point. That's what I understood, right?
Yes, you're right. Yes.
Okay, so first of all, the secret is presence. Okay, you have to be really attentive. You have to be really present, so you can feel any change in your client, in their voice, in their eyes, in the way they are, speaking or they are explaining the thing. So this is very important. So you can feel or you can see that something is different, that there is an insight or something has changed. Okay, and about strong questions or how to ask questions, I don't believe in a powerful question in a way of, okay, now I have to craft the powerful question so it's going to change this client life. Actually, powerful questions are quite easy, quite simple. It's a question that is about curiosity. It's a question that also is like the client itself is asking her or himself this question. So it's a question that is going to come from their decisions, from the way they want to go on the session. So it's just try to ask them what they need, so in the moment. But it's something that it has to be asked from their decision, okay, from their main point of interest in the session.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And we have a question to Ekaterina as a coachee.
So, I'm Inga and I'm young coach.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask you how you feel. Was it any pieces of the session when you feel something and you know how to say it in Russian, but you can't find immediately good words in English, and when you try to translate it in English, you lose the real meaning of what you feel.
You were asking if there was some cases during the session like this, yeah?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I think there were no cases like that, because every time I was stuck with a word, I tried to find a synonym for it, and having the a lot of feelings in my heart related to this request. I could find a synonym that would definitely reflect what I was feeling at that moment. So I don't think there were cases like that in the session.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. And can I ask Gorka about as a coach? Did you met such funny situations when you thought that your client say one thing but she or he thought another thing, but just not correctly say it in English? The difficulties of translation, it's something close to that I would ask Ekaterina.
No, it's not. It doesn't happen that often. I mean, I cannot remember of a funny or weird situation where the client said something different, because if you get used to mirror back or to repeat as often as possible, then the client has the opportunity to to explain themselves. So no, it does not happen that often. Actually, I say I don't remember any situation regarding translation. And even when I work with Russian, sometimes in mentoring, that we have English Russian English translation, even in that situation that could be somehow complicated, it doesn't happen either.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, colleagues, thank you. Unfortunately, our time almost has finished. We have a time just for one question. And Olga Kashenkova has a question. So, Olga, you can ask, and we will finish our meeting today.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Gorka, I have a question. What non-coaching related activities help you train awareness and coaching presence? Could you please share?
Sure. That's a great question. That's a great question because I think, and my point of view is that presence can be trained. I work a lot with meditation, mindfulness, so it's important to devote like a few minutes a day. And I also work with some body awareness techniques, like the Alexander technique. So it helps me to be aware, to be present. And I also practice some, Tai Chi for a long time, which also it's very, very helpful to develop this presence. So I think it's important if you devote some time, day or a week, to just train this muscle, which is presence, because actually presence is about learning how to diminish this noise in your brain and be able to be here and now with the person. So yes, I mean definitely it's very important.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we need to finish. Thank you, dear colleagues, for your participation today, for joining us. And Gorka, we thank you very much. Really grateful to you for being with us, and we really appreciate your contribution to English Coaching Week today. Thank you for a great demo session. And we need to announce our program for tomorrow. So, Dmitry, yes. Tomorrow we will have a day with supervision and advanced professional development, as you see on our slide, learning to see what is really happening in coaching. We will spend our time with Sam Magil from USA, MCC coach, and we are waiting. We will wait for you at the same time and with the same link. So thank you very much for everybody, and have a nice day.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tanya, for hosting. Thank you, Katerina, for the session, and thank you, Dimitri, for this wonderful project. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.